Vikrant Rona is an ambitious attempt at creating a fantastical world with a daredevil cop at its center. Does it work? Let's find out. Somewhere inside this film is another film that is surprising and spooky, but before you get there, roughly in the last half an hour or so, you have to endure an incredibly convoluted story about a remote village where murder seems routine. Children are found hanging from a tree. A decapitated inspector is found hanging in a well. There's this one-eyed smuggler who carries stuff across the border, but honestly, I never managed to unravel his connection to the plot. There's also an old woman who appears at regular intervals to provide scares. Is she real? Is she imagined? I don't know. Phantom comics play a key role. There are lines about Brahma Rakshas, Khoon ki Holi, Bhootnath ka Mandir and Shaitanon ke Bhagwan. It's a lot.
ये स्टेशन कम चक्रव्यूह ज्यादा लग रहा है.
थाना ही नहीं साहब, पूरा गाँव ऐसा है.
Vikrant is a cop, but there's little he can't do. Writer-director Anup Bhandari spends an inordinate amount of time building up his star Kichcha Sudeep. His muscles are showcased at every opportunity. He mostly wears these capped sleeve shirts that allow us to admire them. Vikrant strides rather than walk. He smokes cigars which add to the swag, and he doesn't hesitate to put his life on the line. Like Indiana Jones, Vikrant wields a whip expertly. For one action sequence, he wears a black leather trench coat. The fight takes place in the pouring rain, and I couldn't help wondering how the weight of wet leather wasn't holding him back. When the situation demands, Vikrant can also do a nimble hook step with the local bartender played by Jacqueline Fernandez. She runs the joint but also occasionally breaks into dance to entertain her many customers.
गाँव में आजकल बस एक ही नाम का ही तो चर्चा है, विक्रांत रोना.
Where is this village? We don't know. What is the time period? It's irrelevant because here time stands still. It's constantly raining. There is thick jungle and mist. Art director Shiv Kumar J, who also did KGF Chapter 2, and DOP William David create this rich atmospheric world. Vikrant Rona isn't even attempting realism. More than anything, Anup wants to spin a yarn that touches on injustice, revenge, loss, and what grief can do to people. There are some impressive visuals and action sequences, but the painstaking effort, which is apparent throughout, is dissipated by the clumsy storytelling. Vikrant Rona has too much plot, but the characters are wafer thin. The backstories are really muddled, and there are just too many threads left hanging. There's this one about a boy named Sanju who ran away from the village, which is particularly bizarre. Anup's brother Nirup plays that role. Sanju has a fleeting romance with Panna, who is visiting. But in her childhood, Panna was engaged to another man. When you discover who Sanju really is, this subplot makes even less sense. Even within its own logic, the narrative doesn't hold. Through this narrative clutter, Sudeep stands tall. The actor's rock-solid screen presence helps to anchor the film to some extent. But for much of the film, Anup requires him to swagger rather than act. The 3D is done well, but the best thing in Vikrant Rona is the Ra Rakkamma Song, composed by B. Ajneesh Loknath, sung by Nakash Aziz and Sunidhi Chauhan, and choreographed by Jani. Ajneesh has also composed the high-decibel background score. Anup clearly has a talent for world building. But it feels like in this film, he became so enamored by the hyper-stylized telling that the tale became unnecessarily contorted. Honestly, I'm still trying to connect some of the dots. What did you think of Vikrant Rona? Did you like it? Please tell me in the comments below.